Thank you for all for joining us to this Gaming for Career panel discussion. We have some excellent panelists and very interesting hour ahead. I am Sonja Ahtiainen from Save the Children Finland, and we are running suunnitepalvelu.fi, an online counseling service focusing on career and education counseling for young people aged 15 to 25 years. Obviously, working in the game industry is seen as an exciting opportunity, and gaming as a job will be a dream come true for many youngsters. So, today we have experts discussing about this topic, and hopefully we will have answers to some difficult and tricky questions. At first, I will introduce the panelists shortly. We have Joonas Laakso, who works as production lead in Next Games. Then we have Hannes Pasanen, Game House's executive producer at Young Department City of Helsinki. Then Sonja Angeslevä, indie game researcher. Teemu Vabit Hiilinen, who is working at Yle, esports commentator. And last but not least, Joona Natu Leppänen, who is coaching CSGO team Ninjas in Pyjamas, freelance commentator and analyst at esports events. We will begin with a short introduction to the Finnish game industry in general, and then we will focus more on different career opportunities and skills needed. Suvi Latva, who is working as coordinator in Neo Games Finland, will open this discussion with an introduction to gaming industry in Finland. Suvi, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Wondering, I had some slides for myself at least to remind me what I'm supposed to talk about. So I'm representing Neo Games Finland, which is a non-profit organization to support and promote Finnish game industry and its ecosystem. Recently, Finnish game industry has been growing a lot, and we have had lots of international success. And actually, Finnish game industry is already 20 years old, and we have a really what is unique for Finnish game industry is that we have really strong industry networks, including, of course, ITDA Finland, which is Sonja has been deeply involved for a long time, and I'm also a member of the board. And then we have a Neo Games Finland, which I'm representing, and then we have a Finnish Game Developers Studios Association, and also Finnish Game Jams Association. These game jams, this association has a really crucial role, for instance, as community and building, community building and information sharing and lobbying. Finnish game studios are mainly young companies and startups. Altogether, we have around 260 studios. Almost 70% of those are under 5 years old, but there are lots of so-called second-round startups, which means that those companies are not actually that young or fresh as it, without knowledge as it would look like. There has been a huge spike of founding new studios at 2011. And 2012, lots of new studios were founded. Actually, I would appreciate if my slides could be shown in the screen, because it kind of could support my presentation. Thank you. Most of the studios are located in capital area, but recently there hasn't, or already a few years, there has been several industry hubs in several other areas, like Tampere, Turku, Oulu, and also Kotka. 85% of the game studios are developing games for mobile platforms, at least as one of their platforms. Several studios are also operating in multi-platforms. And it's obviously easiest way to start your mobile game or your game studio with developing games for mobile. There is a great diversity in Finnish game industry. There's lots of employees from other countries than Finland, and the working language is many times English because the industry is international and the markets are global. Also, there are 20% of employees are females or identifying themselves as a female. There is 2,500 employees at the moment in the Finnish game industry, which is the amount of employees hasn't been growing as fast as our industry, but it means that it's because it's not so easy to suddenly increase the amount of people as because the industry is not that young, that old yet. There are several places which are offering education in regarding the game industry profession. You can actually find all the educational schools or educational institutes from our webpage neogames.fi. There is a section called education, and you can find all of them from there, so you don't have to memorize those here. And one way to kind of get attached to the industry is obviously, for example, coming to Assembly. You can see how the community is working, is actioning, but also like more industrial side. If you want to see how the companies are actually doing and how the game development is actually being executed or meet the people who are actually working in the industry, ITDA gatherings are an excellent opportunity to meet game developers and people who are already working at the industry. And there are also local ITDA hubs in Turku, Kotka, Jyväskylä, Oulu, Tampere, Kajaani, in several areas, so not only in Helsinki. We have monthly gatherings which are open for all. So if you are just 18 years old, it's because many times they are at the bars. You are welcome to come. And also one way is to join the social media, Play Finland Facebook group, or ITDA Finland Facebook group, or also ITDA Finland hubs have their own Facebook groups. So that's an easy way to get attached to the industry and the people. I would like to say, because many times there are several ways to kind of come to the working at the game industry. You can, of course, one thing is that it's industry of passion, that you kind of you have to like games and you have to like playing, but it doesn't necessarily need that you have to be playing a lot. It's good to have a different kind of diversity. Also, it's not enough if you are, in many cases, it's not enough if you are just a good player. Of course, if you want to do esports, it's fine. But if you want to work at the game industry, many times it's not enough. That's just being able to play games, but more like you need to have some expertise in some other area also. And since we have been really successful, Finnish game companies have been really successful in the global game industry recently, it means that the kind of level of skills is quite high, and you need to be actually I would say that Finnish game developers are one of the best developers in the world. So you need to you need to train and you need to take it kind of seriously. But it's definitely, I would say, the dream job if games are what you like. The game industry is really sharing and caring, especially in Finland. So I would strongly recommend everyone who is interested to find out what are your special skills and your special interest, focus of interest, and then find out what could be your position. Education itself is not necessary, but you need to have skills to be employed at the game industry. I don't think that you are interested about turnovers of the Finnish game industry, but as you see, it has been growing pretty nicely for years, for a few last years. So I think it's also offering a great opportunity as a working environment for new employees. And if you have any questions, please contact me. And you can find out lots more information from our webpage, neogames.fi. There is our latest report and also some advices for you to enter to the game industry if you are not yet there. I was quick. Fine.
Thank you, Suvi, for a very interesting introduction. Would any of the panelists or the audience have any comments or questions at this point? Well, I have one. How you, Suvi, ended in game industry? What's your education?
I'm an industrial designer. I was doing actually 3D real-time 3D modeling for 2000. But then there was this so-called internet bubble, and I kind of also find that maybe the modeling part or designing at that level was not my main interest, and then I end up to the game research and concept design, and then I end up to the kind of this business development support, and it has been kind of coincidence, but I've been always following my instinct and also my skills, and then going that way, because I think that there are lots more better 3D designers or modelers than I am, and it's not my strongest point, so I decided to take another way.
Thank you. And next we could have a look at different career choices and paths that you panelists have made. So this is a question for all the panelists. If I wanted to work in the game industry, what should I do? What would you recommend it to someone who wants to work in the field you are working in?
All right, I can start. So do loads of things, as a hobby. If you don't have friends, find one. Or if you are able to do things by yourself, do as much as you can. That's very important, and that's my sort of tip.
So basically what you need to do is make games. You can get lots of education on any specific topics, and for instance engineering schools or computer science or 3D modeling or whatever. But most of all, you need to be making games. What we are looking at when we are hiring is your game portfolio and your understanding of games, and most of the craft can only be learned by doing.
Well, my line of work is a little bit different, I guess. Working as a coach and doing casting. But I mean, it's all pretty much been out of a hobby. I played games for all my life, online for like the past 15 or so. I think the biggest asset that I've had and why I'm here is probably my networking skills and just being able to socialize with people along with playing. So just be sociable.
I'm working at YouthWorks, so so I think that nobody's interested in that. But when talking about the career in gaming and gaming culture, I joined the latter speakers that you have to be enthusiastic. You have to do the things that are required. You have to make games. You have to play games. I also suggest you have apply to some school. You can maybe your skills are coming from the enthusiasm and the activities that you do, but you can get certified and get some kind of a new view to your doing. So, and also the social part, get together with other people that are interested in these things and make things together and play together. Just enjoy the gaming culture in a wide spectrum.
I work as a shoutcaster for Finnish broadcast company and also as a freelance journalist. And I think the most important thing is to have fun with games. It's the most important thing, is to have fun, have a passion on gaming. I strongly disagree with that you have to have some kind of certification. I think self-learning is the key in gaming industry. That you have the passion in gaming and you want to learn more of the things. And I strongly believe that most of the skill sets you need in gaming industry comes from the just doing it, not from being in school, learning it.
I'm thinking the same. Yes, you don't have to have any degree, but it might be good for you. You can get certified and you can get a different angle for you're doing. But yeah, it's not necessary, especially in game development. The most of your skills, most of the best game developers are just enthusiastic about things, and they have done coded or designed games since they were kids. So you don't need a degree, but it might be good.
Oh, so Joona, what would you say makes a good gamer?
Wow, that's a tough question. What makes a good gamer? In what sense good? What do you mean?
Well, if you wanna play, like that's your work as gamer, you know.
Like an esport, like high
yeah,
level.
that good.
Well, you have to be crazy in a way. You're spending immense hours playing, first of all, but I mean, obviously talent, like in anything pretty much that needs extraordinary skills, you need to have a really high level of talent. Need to just play. Like, nothing comes for free, basically. It's always been like, when you start playing games, if there's an esports competition in it, you don't necessarily have to think about it that way. You just play the game, you enjoy it. And then eventually, if you have what it takes, both when it comes to individual skill and social skills, which are really important, especially when you're playing a team game like I have, you will get your opportunities. That's something I don't like. Especially Finnish players are not really good at that. It's always been an issue. But I think, yeah, it's a combination of just hard work, and I like to emphasize the social part. It's really important to be super social and know people and just approach people to get the opportunities.
And what type of skills one should have to be able to work as an analyst in game events? Is it enough being a good gamer?
It's a big part to understand what you're seeing, obviously, but that also depends on your individual skill set, I guess, like how you are as a person. Are you nervous in front of cameras, in front of big crowds and things like that? It's good to have so knowledge of English, obviously, if you do it in English. And I mean, you just sort of have to enjoy it. That's all I would have to say, really. Just have fun. Don't think about it. You're talking about the game, basically. You're talking about things that you've looked at for a long time, so you know exactly what's happening. All you have to do really is elaborate to people that are watching what's happening. I mean, that's the biggest thing, I guess.
Then Joonas, you work as a production lead in Next Games. What you actually do and how you ended there?
Every single producer I know, I think I could name a couple of dozen by this point of my career, is very different. It's a very individual job, and it tends to really differ from studio to studio. So like what I'm doing at Next Games is quite different to like what I was doing at Remedy or Bugbear before that, or in marketing before that, even though it's always been a producer. But essentially I'm trying to make sure that everybody knows what they're doing and that we have a great game at the end of the production, which tends to take a quite long time. But yeah, it's really something that's up to the individual. Like we are educating producers now, and I have something of that sort of education from the early 2000s myself. And for a long time I used to think that it was not really good for anything. It was like too wide, very like culture production oriented and so forth, so events and that sort of thing. But like right now I do feel like it was a very useful 4 years of my life. Like I got a very wide like perspective on things and culture and so forth. So like in terms of like directing a group of creatives, which is generally what producers do, it was very useful in the end. So I've come to appreciate my education way more than I used to.
Then Hannes, you work at Game House in the youth department of Helsinki. How does your daily work look like?
My daily work looks like a bit of boring days at the office, but I think that the people are interested in the work of our youth workers, at the actual interaction with the young people. So they looks like we have a game house which is a place with 40 computers, PC computers, with a lot of new the mainstream games and consoles and things like that. So on a basic day, we try to provide young people a possibility to be active in gaming culture in different areas of gaming culture. On one day there might be game development club. On other day there could be esports training. On other day just open gaming. Anybody can come with their friends and play computer games, like social gatherings and things like that, or some happenings that are organized by organizations or some activity groups. And the youth workers, the main thing that the youth workers do is just to make it possible for young people to be active, give them the space to use and all the infrastructure, materials and support they're doing.
And Sonja, you are indie game researcher, so what you do actually?
Okay, actually I hate labels, as I don't think like anyone is just doing one thing, and that's not actually my like primary job. I do something totally different. I do like game development and software development. But I think it's very important for developers to also learn more about either players or developers or the industry or so forth. So that's why I found it very valuable to do this like indie research. I don't want to be a researcher, but I want to do so who is actually located in a university. I want to do research that I find very valuable, and I have actually all the ribbons in my hands, so I actually can define and decide everything.
And Teemu, what is the most important skills for being a commentator?
Most important skill is obviously talking. You have to talk really fast and know something. Well, yeah, that's really. I'm really different than Natu, Joona, in our shoutcasts. Joona is like analyst, and I'm what you call play-by-play commentator. And play-by-play is basically you tell what happens on the screen all the time and just try to throw in some couple of jokes or something, but that's basically it. But you still have to know a lot about the game, what you're saying, that you say the place is right, you have to know a lot about the players, what they do, was that good play or was that bad play. But yeah, you have to have interest in that game and you have to know about the game, and obviously you have to talk a lot.
Have you trained at talking, or is it just something you have?
No, it's something that I have always done. It's basically what I do for a living now, just talk, so I'm good at it.
So if I want, now this is for you all, if I want your job, what should I do, like now?
If you want my job, just come and try it. Sit down. And let's do, well, you have to pick a game. You have to learn the basics of the game. You have to learn how it's played, who is good at it, what is the good play, the strategies of it, the meta game of it, and then you can come and sit down on my bench.
My job. This is again complicated, but work in a youth work with focus on gaming culture is you just have to be interested in computer games and or gaming in general, gaming culture, and get yourself a youth work degree, and then you have the job. But yeah, basically that.
Play Counter-Strike for 15 years. No, but yeah, deep knowledge of the game obviously would help a lot, and good people skills. As coaching, it's more like, I think the biggest part is really psychological and keeping people happy, making sure that nothing's really stressing anyone apart from the actual playing part. When it comes to casting, analyzing, it's mostly, like I said, it's about understanding what's happening, being good at talking, being a positive person, throw a bad joke here and there, like you do, and you should be good.
Actually, you also need all those things that Diona said about being being really social. You have to be really interested in young people and throw a bad joke here and there and things like that. So
I don't make jokes. I'm here because 8 years ago, Jussi Laakkonen, who many of you know as the main organizer of the assembly party, asked me to join Bugbear, where he was working at the time. And that happened because I had very actively sought a game development job for the previous couple of years. And he was aware of my efforts and contacted me when he was looking for a producer. And when I decided to join the industry, I didn't know what a producer does. Like 8 years ago, it wasn't quite as clearly defined as these days. And what I did is for around 2 years, right around the time when I graduated from school, college, I just started reading absolutely everything I could find on game development because I understood that I knew so little, and in order to work as a producer I would need to understand what actually happens in a game studio. So basically I read Gamasutra.com, I read all the game development magazines I could find, the better industry magazines, Edge, so forth, like pretty religiously. That was all I did for a couple of years. And when I felt like that now I understand what's happening, then I applied and I got turned down again by Jussi Laakkonen. And he told me to basically get some real job, so I needed to have some proper experience despite not being employed in the industry. So I started a hobbyist team. I found a team that needed somebody to direct them, and so I did that for a year. And we never released anything or anything, but I learned so much during that 1 year of directing that team on a daily basis that I was actually ready to take on a production role. So yeah, read everything you can until you feel like you have an idea of what you're doing, and then start doing it.
Okay, my take would be that be active or be hyperactive as I am. Be bold. There are many positions that are, you can basically create positions or create your own career, so you don't have to just see that, okay, there are, so should I be artist or a designer or programmer? You can be like whoever you are, what are your skills, and that's actually how I started. And if you wanted to be me, yes, just be active, be very curious. If you want to be a researcher, go to university and join a research group. That's one way. If you want to do indie, you just have to cover all the costs by yourself. So be aware. But then again, you have so many possibilities to, improve your know-how and also share knowledge. And yeah, be social. It's I guess in all of the positions, it's very important. It's all about learning from peers and sharing information and learning from them. and all the time improving and yeah, learning more.
Now, social networking, what actually is it, and what should I do if I want to connect with you or some other guys in the game industry? Is it enough if I came to Assembly once a year?
It's always easiest to be remembered if you actually have something to show, or some ideas or some sort of passion. As Jonas said, that young guy at that point usually wasn't impressed because he hasn't done, or he has not enough to show. So that's always important, and it's also easier to communicate what you're actually interested in, and what you would love to do or what you can do if you can show something. So that at least one point.
Game developers are generally very easy to approach. Like whenever I'm approached, which doesn't happen as often as I would imagine, but when it happens, I always respond. Like I don't think I've ever turned down anybody. So if you have something concrete that I can actually help you with beyond please get me a job, I generally go out of my way to try and help people. And every single other people in the industry I know do the same. Like I'm volunteering at the where Hannes works, and just basically because I want to help people get into the industry and help them do whatever they want to do in games, be that like hobbies, game making, or playing games, or whatever. And most game developers really care about what we do, and we want to share. So we're generally very easy to approach. So feel free to reach out on Twitter, Facebook, whatever. At least I'm generally always available.
When it comes to casting, I think the best way to really get out there is to, like, for me, I did a few. I was at certain events and I was asked to do for free. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll try. Let's see. 'Cause I had not had any prior experience of what I was getting into. So I noticed it was something I liked, and people seemed to like what I do. So it just sort of happened. I started getting asked. And I mean, the good thing nowadays is, especially sports and gaming, there's a lot of platforms where you can do things, stream and stuff, where you can put yourself out there, make yourself interesting, and the rest of it's just going to be about you, how you are as a person. If you're suitable for doing such a thing, there are tools you can make yourself visible.
Yeah, coming to Assembly every year is a good start, because Assembly Summer especially has a really wide spectrum of gaming culture presented here. So there is a game industry, there are people from game industry here, there are esports, there is a huge crowd of enthusiastic, active people here, so you can get the contacts, and you can be social, you can get friends who are interested in same things, but I would recommend to find a group or some activities that in gaming culture. Jonas was referring to the Game House Game Development Club, which is also volunteering. It's one of the possibilities to come to a place that is provided for free, and there are specialists who are helping you to develop your skills, and there is the social environment, other active young people who are enthusiastic about things. Lots of schools are getting different things related to gaming in the free-to-choose curriculum, so choose those or find some other groups or activity groups that are present in your area. Just be active and find the people who are also interested in the same things that you are.
Basically, I have it the same way, being social, like Natu said, that we started shoutcasting in 2005, and up till 2030 we paid everything by ourselves, like everything. the computers, the sound mixers, video mixers, everything was paid by ourselves, and we got just paid for wirely from last year. So I've been in 2 years making money from my hobby, and basically you have to be social every way. In my place, I'm really hyperactive in Twitter, especially on Ask FM last 2 weeks. Really great place to be active, and on Facebook, and you have to have opinions. In my opinion, you have to show your opinions about esports, and you have to be like the one who can say, as I have some. I think I have some sort of role in Finnish esports. Like somebody calls me Daddy-O or something like that, but when I have some opinion about esports, people usually listen to me. So I have to think about what I say. I don't judge people easy or games easily. I just have to give them a chance and just respect the position I have had in this 10 years to get here to my position.
You are all saying that have to be social, so if I'm not social, how have you any tips? How can I be social, or what's the...
Or you can be a coder.
Yeah, of course, people are different, so of course not everyone has to be social, and that's why the other option is to have something to show.
I used to be like really shy and mortally afraid of being like on any sort of stage or whatever. And I got over that like very deliberately. So starting from school, when I realized that I'm going to be in some sort of team leadership roles, I just actively started seeking out situations where I have to speak for a team or be presenting things, even though it felt horrible to begin with. But it's something you can learn. And like when you're doing something you actually love to be doing, suddenly it becomes easy. Like when you realize that these people actually want to hear what you have to say, and you're not there to really impress anybody or sell anything or anything like that, it's not actually that hard.
Yeah, I agree. Just putting yourself, facing the fear, I guess, is to make yourself more sociable. I've noticed in retrospect that it's in any working environment, it's pretty much the same as you're doing a school project with your fellow students, your friends. Let's say it's pretty much the same thing, whatever I'm doing in working environments. So, especially if you're in school right now, just try to get into any kind of projects and just put yourself out there. I mean, I know it can be scary for some people. I'm not being a super fan myself either when I was younger of public speaking or just presenting anything really. So it's something you can definitely learn. You will as you grow, as you learn things and just live your life. A lot of people usually get better with that type of thing as the years go by.
Yeah, and actually, if being present in a social situation is really frightening, you just focus on getting the skills and the knowledge and things like that, because through that it gets easier, because when you know more about the things that you are doing, you get more how can I say, yeah, you get confidence in the doing. So and also it's really much more easier to be social in an environment where is other people that are interested in same things, and especially if you are proficient in those things, you know about those things. It's easy to speak to other people about the things that you know, and they are interested in those things. They are interested in your opinions and your view of the especially in gaming culture. If you know about, you're really good at playing League of Legends, for example, it's easy to talk about that to a fellow player.
Yeah, basically what they said, that you just have to leave your comfort zone. It's really good for you to leave the place where you feel comfort. That's the only way to grow up.
Now, do we have any questions in the audience now? No? Okay. Then, in your opinion, how is the current state and how do you see the future of the game industry in Finland?
Very right. No, well, we have been moving on up for a very long time now. Like I've been here, like in the Finnish game industry for 8 years, and for quite a long while, like up until maybe 2 years ago, I really felt like for my career, in order to become better in my job, I have to move abroad at some point. Like the game industry hotspots have tended to be US West Coast, UK, and that's pretty much it. And these days, that's not the case anymore. Like Helsinki is a great place to be making games right now, and I don't see that changing in the near future. And there's new opportunities all the time. So maybe around 5 years ago, it felt like there are only a handful of places I might end up in professionally. Like there were so few studios around. But now there are so many. It feels like we got like new interesting things happening on a monthly basis, let alone year per year. So it is looking very good indeed.
Yeah, I think the industry is currently very rich in the sense that it's not only about indie developers or game studios, but it's also strong, like commentators or esports. It's about, the research scene is actually rather active. There is the like games press and or the media and all that. So, and loads of YouTube, also like local celebrities and so forth. So I think that's really nice. What we are currently more heavily focused on commercial game development, and compared to like maybe 5 or so years back when there were more sort of experimental game development and also ways of or developers who were not only thinking of founding a company and making some money, but also expressing themselves. So I think that's something that's always changing when the industry evolves and when the industry grows. I don't say that that's not there anymore. The nice thing is that now we have also a very strong like educational institute or network of educational institutes, which means that there's loads of small non-commercial projects going on, which again I think helps the more experimental game development as well. But yeah, very rich, very diverse, loads of different platforms, loads of different positions and so forth. I think it's in a way a like hotspot of gaming in the world at the moment.
On esports wise, we have been growing for 2 years now quite rapidly. We can watch the games from the Wiley TV2, like tomorrow on Saturday. We can place bets on Veikkaus. We have one journalist on Ilta-Sanomat writing esports news. So on esports wise, 2 years has been a lot growth, and we have been getting these top teams now. Like we have a chance of getting good players on top. As the culture have grown, I think also the players have noticed that people doesn't think the gaming is so nerdish anymore. But on the other hand, on the gaming industry, I think Finland got really lucky on Angry Birds. The timing was so perfect on that time. There was only little margin of any applications on like Android market or Apple market at that time, and then we just hit the nail at the right time, and that I think that's the birthmark of the Finnish gaming industry.
Yeah, and from my point of view, from the YouthWorks point of view, I think it has gone also really fast forward. All the main cities in Finland, all the youth works are also trying to start their own activities in gaming culture. And also the smaller cities in Finland, there's actually quite many places already who are doing something, who are supporting young people's activities in gaming culture, where there are LAN events or they have their own gaming cafes or things like that. And also schools are waking up to the digital gaming. In some schools there are gaming coding and game development activities, and also schools are using computer games in teaching and things like that. So it's going forward in the small steps, but still positive signs that the gaming culture is going to education and youth work also in wider spectrum.
Yeah, about esports, I think the one big thing I've noticed the past year has been basically just the fact how esports has become more socially acceptable. It's been a talking point thanks to Yle in a lot of media. It's been all over the place. One thing I've noticed here at Assembly, actually, I think last summer was the first. I've been here like 15 years, pretty much every year, and like the last event last summer was the first where younger people were approaching players a lot, wanted to take selfies and pictures, autographs and all that kind of stuff. That never used to happen. I think people were just afraid of being a fan of a gamer. Now it's and I think that's a cool thing to notice. I think the next step for esports really is to be able to make companies understand what kind of an opportunity it is as a marketing platform. Because sports in general is a huge way for companies to, a lot of their budget of marketing goes to sponsoring different kind of sports teams, but I don't think there's people yet that have really educated companies on how much they can really get their money's worth when it comes to esports and marketing, because of how many tools we have now, with obviously Yle being in the play, but Twitch TV, example of, hello microphone. Yeah, but too much talking. Yeah, but I mean, I think that's the next step, to really have more business involved in making esports a viable way of marketing in Finland as well.
Yeah, now thank you all panelists, and I guess you all are here Assembly, and if I wanna talk to you, I just can and talk, and yeah, pull your shirt and
if you dare.
so thank you.